Quantum virtual particles are not Acausal events. In modern discussions of quantum mechanics, the phenomenon of quantum virtual particles popping into and out of existence is sometimes cited as evidence of events occurring without cause, or Acausal events. This line of reasoning is sometimes used to claim that the universe itself could have originated from nothing, based on such quantum processes. However, this interpretation misunderstands the nature of virtual particles and the conditions from which they arise. In this article, I will argue that quantum virtual particles are not Acausal events, but rather are governed by necessary and sufficient conditions that arise from the quantum vacuum, which is a causal entity. What is an Acausal event? Before addressing the nature of quantum virtual particles, it's important to define what is meant by an Acausal event. An Acausal event would be one that occurs without any cause whatsoever. To say something is Acausal implies that there are no necessary conditions for the event to occur, meaning that nothing needs to be in place for it to happen, and no sufficient conditions that bring the event into being, meaning that no set of circumstances or causes could be identified as responsible for producing it. For an event to truly be Acausal, it would have to happen without any prerequisite causes or explanatory factors. It would be an event arising out of nothing, in the truest philosophical sense, not a vacuum, not a field, not even a potential. Nothing, in this sense, means absolute non-existence. No matter, no energy, no laws of physics, no space, no time, and no potentiality. Quantum virtual particles and the quantum vacuum. Quantum virtual particles are subatomic particles that briefly appear and disappear within a quantum field. Their existence is transient, and they never become actual particles in the conventional sense. They are said to borrow energy from the quantum vacuum, manifest for a very short time, and then vanish back into the vacuum. But this entire process does not take place in a vacuum of nothing, rather, it occurs within the context of a rich quantum environment, the quantum vacuum or quantum foam. The quantum vacuum is often misunderstood as being empty or equivalent to nothing. In reality, the quantum vacuum is a highly active and complex state governed by the principles of quantum field theory. It is a sea of fluctuating energy and fields that are never at rest, due to the inherent uncertainty described by Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. This dynamic state is what gives rise to the fleeting appearance of virtual particles. Far from being Acausal, these virtual particles depend on the quantum vacuum's existence and properties. Thus, virtual particle creation has both necessary and sufficient conditions. Necessary conditions for virtual particle formation. For virtual particles to appear, certain conditions must be met. Quantum fields. Virtual particles arise within the framework of quantum field theory. Every region of space, according to this theory, is filled with quantum fields, such as the electromagnetic field, the Higgs field, and others. These fields are the foundational structures from which virtual particles emerge. A quantum field is a necessary condition because virtual particles are fluctuations of these fields. Energy in the quantum vacuum. The quantum vacuum contains fluctuating energy due to the inherent uncertainty at the quantum level. This energy allows for the brief borrowing of energy that virtual particles require to pop in and out of existence. Without this fluctuating energy, the virtual particles could not emerge. Thus, the energy present in the quantum vacuum is another necessary condition for their formation. Sufficient conditions for virtual particle formation. In addition to necessary conditions, there are also sufficient conditions that enable virtual particles to form. Quantum vacuum instabilities. The vacuum is not a true void but is filled with instabilities or fluctuations, where energy momentarily becomes concentrated in ways that allow virtual particles to arise. These fluctuations create the exact circumstances under which virtual particles manifest. Hence, the dynamic fluctuations of the quantum vacuum provide a sufficient condition for their creation. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. This principle allows for short-lived violations of the classical conservation of energy, as long as the borrowed energy is returned within a very short period. The uncertainty principle thus provides the necessary and sufficient conditions for virtual particles to temporarily exist, in accordance with the known laws of physics. The quantum vacuum is not nothing. A key point often misunderstood by those who argue that virtual particles are examples of something coming from nothing, is that the quantum vacuum is not nothing. It is not an absolute void devoid of any properties or potentialities. The quantum vacuum is a real physical entity governed by the laws of quantum mechanics. It is characterized by fluctuating energy, quantum fields, and a dynamic structure known as quantum foam. Philosophically, nothing refers to the complete absence of anything: no space, no time, no energy, no laws, no quantum fields. The quantum vacuum, however, has real physical properties and is far from being this kind of nothing. The energy fluctuations and quantum fields within the vacuum are the something from which virtual particles can briefly emerge. Thus, their existence is conditional upon the presence of a structured, causal entity, the quantum vacuum. Why virtual particle emergence is not acausal? Given that virtual particles require the quantum vacuum, a causal entity, to arise, their appearance cannot be considered acausal. The process by which virtual particles pop into and out of existence is contingent on the underlying properties of the quantum vacuum. This means that virtual particles do not arise without cause, rather, they arise because the quantum vacuum possesses the necessary and sufficient conditions for their brief existence. To reiterate, necessary conditions: virtual particles depend on the presence of quantum fields and fluctuating energy in the vacuum. Sufficient conditions: the dynamic fluctuations within the quantum vacuum, governed by quantum mechanics, create the circumstances that allow virtual particles to exist for a fleeting moment. These conditions highlight that virtual particle formation is a thoroughly causal process rooted in the physical structure of the quantum vacuum. There is no need to invoke the concept of acausality. Conclusion: the evanescence of quantum virtual particles is often misrepresented as evidence of acausal events. However, upon closer examination, it is clear that their existence depends on the causal structure of the quantum vacuum, a real and dynamic entity filled with energy and governed by quantum laws. The necessary and sufficient conditions for the emergence of virtual particles are present within this vacuum, which makes their formation a causal process. Therefore, quantum virtual particles popping into and out of existence are not acausal events. They are the natural outcome of the underlying quantum reality. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and comment below if you agree or would like to add your thoughts. If you would like me to respond to your comment, please make a level 1 comment directly below the video. I will respond to all polite level 1 comments even if it takes me a while, due to other commitments.